Curran Bhatia here at the weigh-in. I'm here with Petesy and Ariel Helwani. There's a big Irish contingent. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I walked 6 blocks up here today and I saw tricolours, Irish accents. I mean, ever since I started making the voyage to New York, it became very obvious to me that this is a huge important fight for Irish people. And the more and more I see of them, the more of it's kind of coming home to me. This is as big as McGregor at 205 or thereabouts. Huge, huge fight.
Ariel, I want to ask you, I mean, we've seen in UFC and MMA, women's fights were at the top. They headlined, right? They almost set the stage for boxing. Boxing finally getting its due, but it's kind of like a lot of things. Boxing may be following the steps here a little bit in terms of putting on a show.
Yeah, this reminds me a lot of Ronda Rousey versus Liz Carmouche in 2013 in Anaheim. MMA and the UFC are a lot younger than boxing, but let's be honest, they welcomed and adopted the women a lot sooner than boxing. Boxing's had to catch up, and obviously 2 women have headlined shows before, never at MSG, so that's why it's a big deal. But you know what actually makes me most excited about this? It's 1 versus 2. Forget about the history, MSG. It's 1 versus 2. How rare is that? 1 versus 2, not in their weight class, pound for pound. That's what I love so much about this.
Seems like that never happens in the weight class and never in pound for pound. It's finally happening. You're picking Katie Taylor for this fight, I'm guessing?
I have to say, a lot of boxing media are picking Serrano, but after seeing what Katie did in her whole career back to 2012 in London, I believe she's able to show up and make magic happen when she needs to. There's a lot of Irish people here. This is the biggest moment of her professional career, and I think she's going to deliver the goods.
Wanted to ask you about, we've seen Jake Paul up here as a promoter, right? And I know you've interviewed him and Logan so many times. Jake has had success in boxing, right? Against former UFC fighters, against other people. Logan and Jake have talked about dabbling into MMA. I've always said people who are not from the MMA world might be a much tougher transition than boxing is. Your thoughts if the Paul brothers tried to get into MMA?
Why? There's less money, it's harder. He's doing great in boxing. Actually, I think Logan's future is in wrestling. I think he's great at wrestling. Why would they do it? Unless they get paid $1 gazillion, which I don't see it happening, I can't imagine why they would do it.
I'm going to ask 2 last questions because I know we got to go for the weigh-in. Your official pick of how the fight's going to go down. What's the official prediction?
It's Katie Taylor by decision for me. I don't think it's going to be a stoppage. I think it's going to be an incredible fight. Like, look at the people here. Look at how much it means to the Irish people. Look at how much it means to the Puerto Rican people. These are incredibly proud people. I think the atmosphere is going to be absolutely electric, and it's going to be one of the most memorable nights of Katie's already storied career. This means so much to Irish people. Like, she means more than any other sports star we have in the country. As I said to Ariel, she is the most unanimously adored athlete Ireland has ever produced, and it's amazing to see the support.
You're allowed to go home, that means. That's good. That's good. Okay, last question for you. Just this event. I mean, a lot of people are fans of MMA or boxing, right? It seems like the fans sometimes don't like each other. You're allowed to be a fan of both. I think this event is such a good thing for combat sports. So just curious to your perspective. Boxing doing well lifts up combat sports. UFC or MMA doing well lifts up combat sports. Your thoughts about this event and all of that?
Yes. Look, if combat sports was a Venn diagram, there's that middle part there. I live there. He lives there. A lot of my friends live there. I love both sports. In fact, before I ever knew what MMA was, I was a boxing fan. I was going to Arturo Gatti fights in Montreal. A lot of MMA fans may have been born from boxing, born from pro wrestling, born from other combat sports. So it's silly to create this conflict. The only conflict that exists is sometimes they're happening at the same time. Like next weekend, Canelo's fighting at the same time as a UFC pay-per-view. That's tough. But this weekend, Chito Vera versus Rob Font is an amazing main event. That ends at 10 o'clock. The ring walks here at 10:15. If you're a combat sports fan, it's Nirvana. And then when this is over, you get Stevenson versus Valdez. Everyone can live in harmony. Everyone can eat. Everyone can have a good time.
For one night, we have it all, and hopefully that'll continue. Petesy, Ariel, thank you guys so much.